Okay, here we go. We may have, this one may run long enough that we'll want to pull a tape, so we may have to stop at some point.
I'll let you know. We got
Yeah.
9 minutes.
Okay. Al, first of all, let's start from the beginning. As a producer or a management team looks at their operation, why should they go through a depopulation and repopulation? What are the reasons?
Well, traditionally, Roger, we've depopulated, repopulated for disease reasons, and some tougher than others. Maybe swine dysentery might be the most difficult to get rid of. That's driven a lot of repopulations, and the SPF program kind of came up around repopulations with cleaner stock, and so we've known for a long time that it'll work. What's happened now recently is there appear to be a few producers with a few seed stock suppliers with absolutely superior genetics, and so if we can repopulate today and get rid of some chronic disease problems plus get superior genetics, we can really get a nice double kick, and so that's what's driving a lot of it now.
Can we do it just for genetics' sake?
Well, I think so. I look at kind of Midwestern average production, and I say that's got a long way to go to get really as good as pigs can be. Now then, do we do it the traditional way, kind of nickel and dime at a time, or do we just turn the herd over real quickly? And I, for one, like to turn it over quickly.
Okay. If you're producing at that top level, and if you're at the cutting edge, there's some real pride in what you do, and here's that fits into that too.
It does. The people factor is hard to measure, but my experience and my intuition is that people really enjoy a pig farm when it's working well. And when everything's working together, the pigs are growing well and there are minimal problems, they're doing all offensive things. They're putting it together. On the other hand, when things start going bad, you do defensive things, you don't get your regular work done, you get depressed, it doesn't look as good. And so I think we've underestimated the effect on people, pride of ownership, pride of workmanship, the influence that has. And my experience has been that with a smart repopulation, producers expect more, they are themselves better with those higher expectations, and when things are working, a mediocre manager sometimes becomes an awfully good one.
And there's no reason to get out of the business and back in. You can do it for the long run.
That's my view. That's what I hope is true.
Okay. For financial reasons, all of the things that you've said so far should be a positive financial reason.
That's intention. If you look at the Iowa State Swine Enterprise Record System, the average feed cost per pound of gain is about 25 cents a pound. I get to see a lot of farm records. That ought to be, in 1990 and 91 and into 92 with our corn and bean prices, that ought to be 20 cents a pound. It ought to be 19, but 20 is good. We have to figure out ways to reduce our feed cost per pound of gain by 20%. And again, the nickel and dime approach is slow, and so I think repopulation is a fast way to get there, and I think that that's got to pay big, big dividends. If we sell a 250-pound pig and we've reduced feed cost per pound of gain from 25 down to 20, just on the feed side alone, we've saved $12.50. Big change.
Is this just for the big producer, or is this also for the smaller producer?
Well, I'm sitting in north central Iowa. Most of the repopulations that I've dealt with have been of the 100 to 300 or 400 sow variety, 500 sow variety. Occasionally I've been associated with a 1,000 sow repopulation, but actually it's easier to do for the small producer. I mean, there are fewer hoops to jump through. So yeah, I think it works well for small producers.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question that you asked in your speech. What should a producer expect?
Yeah. Well, it's dependent, of course, on farm situation and the capital you've got into it and those sort of things. I think, though, coming back after repopulation, you should get the feed to gain value should be at least 10% better. The average daily gain should be 10% better. And probably that equates not so much the good pigs doing better, but fewer bad ones, fewer tail enders, kind of tighten the distribution a little bit. You put it all together, the one number I really count on, Roger, is you take the same facility that you had before and about the same size sow herd, and you can sell about 20% more pork, more pounds of pork. And I don't like to talk really about factory farming. Sometimes it gives the wrong connotation, but that's what we are, a machine turning out pounds of pork, humanely treating animals well because we have to. We want them to treat us well, but we are producing pounds of pork, and I think a good smart repopulation could give you 20% more with the same machine size.
Okay, good, smart repopulation. What do you do to make it work? What are the rules?
Well, the technique I like is to work very hard at producing a pregnant breeding herd elsewhere. So I got pregnant sows coming. Now then on my home farm, I kind of got all this planned and I know when they're coming. So I start taking this home farm down. I maybe sell off some feeder pigs or I find a neighbor's barn to finish some of my pigs in. And at some point then I just plain quit farrowing the home farm. I sell off the breeding herd. I get the little pigs out of there. I got this really period of, scrambling and cleaning up and hiring high school kids and fixing up everything, making it nice and clean and tidy. And then I go to this breeding site when animals are about 110 days pregnant, the oldest ones, bring them home, start farrowing. So, it's easy to say.
That's the bird's eye view.
Yeah, but it's a year's planning process. The banker's awfully important in the process because you got some unique cash requirements depending on where you're going in the cycle and so forth. Banker has to be part of it. I find it's very, very veterinary dependent. You got to hold a few hands and just keep assuring them that it's going to work. And if you do this right, the possibility of this outcome is real high.
So selecting the right stock for what you want to do is important.
Yep. It really is, and that's a question, Roger, we kind of beat around the bush on. There are a few breeding companies that DeKalb and PIC, I think, have done a nice job providing us with a lot of uniform products. All of the repopulations I've been done have been associated with those two companies. I'm sure there are better products elsewhere. I don't have the time or maybe even the expertise to go out and identify.
Yeah.
So I go with maybe more of the standard product, know what I'm going to get, and get some predictability about what to expect.
What's the most important criterion that you're looking for?
Oh, lean gain efficiency. Now that's what the packer wants, what we all want. We crudely measure that yet as feed efficiency on a farm, feed to gain. And the Iowa Enterprise average is 3.8 feed per pound of pork. Gee, that ought to be 3.3, 3.2. That's Iowa thinking corn soy diet, no fat in the diet, no pellets, so forth. Real, just a crude translation there. But the farm value that needs to improve is feed to gain.
Okay.
Big time.
You mentioned an offsite breeding. Why?
Yeah. Well, it has to do with time. In the real quick model, I only stop farrowing at home, say, for 8 weeks. Okay? The old herd stops farrowing, I clean it off, get it out of there, clean up the farm, repair it a little bit, bring the new herd in, 8 weeks later I start farrowing. Now, if I'm really lucky and I maintain ownership of this old herd, and I got the new pigs farrowing, I don't miss a beat on markets because the first of the new pigs and the last of the old pigs will go to the market at the same time, and so you just keep right on marketing. So for most of us in the upper Midwest, our moderate-sized family farms, I think it's almost imperative to have this off-site breeding project and have a pregnant herd ready to slide right in. The alternative is to stop at home, take it all down, bring back in maiden gilts, breed them. The alternative is almost a year's delay in production.
Okay. And your replacement policy should be what you've been using all along.
Yeah, it's a long-term business. I mean, we're talking about big dollars and big investments, so you look into who can provide you not just the stock you need tomorrow, but who can provide you with replacements.
Okay, and hand mating is important?
I think so. I think hand mating, and actually in upper Midwest we have to spend more on sow housing. Our outside sow housing seems like a low cost, but the biological output isn't as good as our inside sow housing.
Okay. Do you have any rule of thumb on how long you want to take during repopulation? 20 weeks, 25 weeks?
Yeah. Really, there's two schedules that I operate off of. One's a 20-week, that's minimum. You buy 20 weeks worth of replacement females and try to breed a 20th of them each week. I really prefer a 23-week schedule, so that at the tail end of the repopulation, I got a few extra animals around to fit into certain holes. Now that, there are quite a few considerations that go in there, but really there's a 20-week schedule or there's a 23-week schedule. There's one or the other. Most people choose the 20. I find a little better long-term success with the 23-week schedule.
Okay. Talk about the cost of repopulation.
Yeah.
How do you look at that?
Well, it's tough to figure because we got all these prices going down and up, and you know, the hog business is pretty cyclic. If you do the fast one, like I've talked about, then minimally you have as a cost the difference between the old breeding herd that you sell and the new breeding herd you buy. And if you're lucky enough to do all this when the market's really good, then your old 450-pound sows go to market for, let's say, 45 cents a pound, and you buy the new ones in, and so that's, what, $200? You buy the new ones in for $300, there's a $100 differential. It could get worse. Right now, you sell this sow for $125 on the market. The market's down pretty low, and the ones you bring in haven't gone down quite that much. They're still $275, so you got a $150 differential there. So I'd rather do it on an up market, but that's the main cost, is just the difference in price between the old animals that you sell and the new ones that you buy.
Okay. Any problems that you always have to watch out for?
Well, a few. Getting this off-site breeding project is tricky.
Yeah.
Can you really trust them to do a good job, or should you do it yourself, or how much should you pay, and you know, all those kind of things. That's one. The whole process, though, the startup repopulation has been surprisingly trouble-free. We used to get a lot of what I'd call greasy pig disease on baby pigs, but recently I haven't even seen much of that. I don't know what happened, why it went away, but a few little predictable problems like that. But generally, people are amazed at how well productivity is when they come back with a new herd, same age, same breeding type. The building's been cleaned out. People are expecting things to go well, and they do, usually.
Is this something that a producer should do once, or should they look at this every 3-4 years?
Well, I used to think maybe every 3-4 years, but quite honestly, I believe this ought to work for 5 to 10 years per herd. And longer the better, of course. I mean, it's a big emotional and to some extent a financial commitment, but it's certainly emotional commitment. You got a whole series of things you need to do right, and I'd like it to go 10 years. Doesn't always, but I'd like it to.
Al, thanks very much.
Okay.
That's terrific.
Good.
We got the names, some of the names.
Oh, okay. We got okay.
If we have time now.
Yeah, give me your name and your title, and spell your last name.
Yeah, it's spelled 2 different ways. Okay. Al Leman, L-E-M-A-N. It's a French, Swiss German, like Lake.
Sisters are French?
Alsace.
Alsace
Right
Lorraine?
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Right there, and kind of sometimes
wife's-
French, sometimes German.
Yeah, my wife's ancestors are just 60 miles east of there,
Yeah,
in the Black Forest
Yeah,
area.
you're gonna have to go far there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Brown,
right.
is that English or?
Yeah, very much so. Thousands of years old. Okay, let's do it again. So it's
Okay.
L and then L-E.
L-E-M-A-N. Layman is the pronunciation. Phonetic is really Leman. You know. I live in Webster City, and veterinarian by training. Spend some time doing veterinary things now, but really more of a farm manager, both my own farms and for others right now. Spend most of my time in a farm management role.
Give yourself a title.
Okay. Well, officially, I'm the Executive Vice President of Swine Graphics Enterprises
In Webster City.
in Webster City.
All right, great. That's what
Okay.
we need. That'll do her.
Good.